Hi, well in this film I'm going to be restoring an old bellows forge. Now you may be thinking, hang on, I've already got a forge which is like a fan blower forge, why do I want a bellows forge? Well actually the fan blower forge is great for getting things up to a really good hot heat, and I don't mind damaging it frankly too much to get up to welding temperatures. This bellows forge has far more control, so it'll be great for doing the finer stuff. And it was at my local scrapyard, needless to say, and it is in shocking condition, but with a bit of restoration it will be back into a working forge, which would be great. So here it is, it's in, as I say, shockingly rusty condition, so completely shot in the pan. The sides, it's got like an artificial side put in, but it's all again completely shot. Bit of boilerplate trying to plug it, but it just all needs renewing. The good news is the tuyere, the air blowing hole, is fine, so that's good. And as regards to bellows, again the leather is totally shot, so that will need replacing. But I've got some bits of leather I could use. I've also got some pond liner that I could use as well, so I'll have a look at that. I don't know about the wood, it may be survivable, but we'll see. So that's the forge. While I was at the scrapyard, I did also say to the guy, lovely chap at this yard, I always like scrapyard people, did you have any steel plate? And he said, well look, I've got this. So I've got some stainless sheet, which will do, if this is for the base. And I've been cutting out some strips. They're a bit mucky because they got like glue on the reverse, so that will soon burn off. But this will make the pan sides, and I've got a few lengths of that as well out of one sheet. So it's actually not cost anything at all to do the refurb, which is what I like. I just want to get this forge into a working condition again, so these bellows are breathing and it does a nice job of heating up. I'm not going to be too worried about doing an authentic restoration, so that's why I'm using the stainless steel. And this will be left outside, so at least then it won't be rusting. Should be good. So let's get on with it. Well, hopefully by the time I've restored these bellows, they'll have quite a bit of grunt on them actually, because just testing this bottom bellow, there's like a foot lever here. I mean, it has got holes, but there's real bursts of air coming out. What should happen is, as you pump at the bottom bellows, it will lift the top bellows, which I can do by hand, and the weight of these actually gives a nice even airflow. As the air flows out through the top bellow into the forge, into the tuyere of the forge. So it gives you a constant regulated airflow. So pump at this one, raises this one, blows the air through. So that's what I've got to achieve on this restoration, and then I'll know I've got these bellows working properly. But they're lovely, these old bellows forges, and this is quite a good size. It's a 20-inch one, so there's a good volume of air in here to actually get a nice bit of blow. Well, what I'm going to use to get the worst of the top of this metal off is a grinder, and standard angle grinder, but I'm using one of these very slim 1mm grinding discs. And I find they're excellent for doing like a sawing, cutting action. I'm going to now remove the top of the forge, so I'm going to remove all this tin sheeting, and obviously the boilerplate comes out. That's a bit of spare backing. So I'm just now left with this rusty hulk, and I'll use my grinder to take the bolts off, to just slice them off, and then I can actually punch them through, and that will get this top all completely removed, hopefully. The rivets are off, which is what I wanted. So now I've just got to remove this actual disc. And I think I can do it. Yeah, there's another bolt, I think, under here probably. We'll have another little twiddle. No, it's coming. Yeah. There we are. One pan removed from the forge. So what I'll be doing next, I'll carefully remove this nice cast iron tuyere. So I'm keeping that, but all the rest of this will get chunked but I'll get that ground off and then I can start rebuilding. There we are. One big pile of rust and the frame exposed. The light's going a bit too much now, so I'll have to stop, but I've basically got the base now roughly cut out with a grinding wheel, and I've also been grinding off the old components that we need to salvage. So here's the tuyere, so that's all ready now to go in on the new one. So it's getting there, but it's another day now, I think. Well, I'm pulling the forge apart now big time. Here are all the nails. So they're actually like roofing nails, they're large sort of headed clout type nails to hold the leather on. And the leather, this original leather, it's something like 2mm thick veg tan type leather in black, and it really is quite rotten. It's actually got wormholes in it in places, and it's totally sort of creased and gappy, so it's just going. But I'm taking all the nails out, which is taking quite a long time. The wooden boards actually for the bellows aren't in too bad a condition. The worst one was this top one, which has got a few cracks in it. And there has obviously been some sort of repair over the years because someone's glued tape over. But there was a sheet of ply on here which was just trapping water underneath. So I've taken that out and I will actually do some more repair on this top one, which is cracked. But by and large the actual woodwork's not in a bad condition, so it's certainly perfectly usable. So that's really it. Well, here's one of the hoops from the bellows from the inside to keep the leather supported, and it's quite interesting. They've used little tin sheets here with tacks on to actually hold the 4 sections of hoop together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, there are 4 sections. I had to check there. But this one is being cracked, and I noticed in the past they've attempted to repair. They put a few nails in. This set of bellows has clearly been overhauled once already. So anyway, I will do another repair on that because it's completely gapping now, and put a dowel or something through to get it nice and strong. But they're quite so basically made inside, really. Okay. Well, this is one of the leather sections on the bellows I've taken off, and it is in shocking condition. It's got like woodworm in it, amongst other things. It's totally rotted. Each section of the leather is 56 inches long and 7 inches wide. So there are 2 of them on the bellows, and it looks like a vegetable tan leather. I'd say it was about 2mm, very roughly. Very heavily holed with nails, and where it joins it's just crudely sewn. But there you are, that's what was there. It was very nicely set as a bellows shape, because they'd obviously used some sort of hot former with the leather to actually get it to go into the V shapes of a bellows. I don't think I can replicate that, but I'll do something to get this back. This is the lower bellows chamber, and you can see the flap valve here. I'm just working it with my finger. It's like a little trap door, and it's got a leather hinge here, and it's got like a restrictor, which is this little leather strap which stops it going too high. So it basically, as it sucks air in, it opens, and then as you put the sort of pressure for the air to go out, it drops down and seals it. And there are 2 big like bed springs, old-fashioned bed springs here as well, which force the bellows bits to make them work properly. What did surprise me actually in pulling all of this apart, it was how thick the actual pieces of the woodwork are. So this is the base piece, and as you can see it's a very thick, it's about a good inch thick, that piece of wood. They're all quite heavy and thick. So this is a view of the upper bellows chamber, and again it's a similar sort of construction, but you've got a wooden hoop. So there's a section of leather, wooden hoop, and then the top section of leather. And again you've got the flap valve there with its keeper. And ones in the top chamber have also got the hole for the air to go out into the forge. So that's the expelling air hole. So the air goes up this pipe and into the forge itself. That's just sunk down there. What's quite interesting with the nailing, where they had nailed the leather onto the wood, they had used a little ribbon of leather going round. So here's a little fragment of it to basically so that the nails didn't cut. the leather they were banging into, and also by having this extra ribbon of leather you were sort of pushing the leather against the wood the whole time. So it wasn't just a single layer, it was like a double layer because of this ribbon just where it went into the wood. Well, what I'm doing here is I'm stapling on pond liner. I had to sort of think about what covering material to put on this, and obviously they used to use the leather, but they had it nicely formed, and to do a wet form I think I need to make a special press. So I then sort of thought, well, I could use upholstery leather, but actually that's quite thin. I have got some I could have used, but then it suddenly dawned on me I had this old pond and it had a 30-year liner on it. So I'm using just this black pond liner. It's waterproof, it's airproof, it's fairly flexible but not too flexible, and it's quite strong. And so what I've done, I've cut some strips of it. So I've hammered on a strip on the bottom here and also on the top. And well, what I'm actually doing, I'm putting two layers on. So first layer I'm using a staple gun. There's the actual wooden round bits here getting quite worn by nails, but I thought, well, if I staple it very frequently that will make it airtight. The staples will rust, I thought, so let's cover it with a second layer with the nails. Not quite so many nails, but still a fair number of nails. So it's actually got two layers of pond liner now, and I think that should be enough to make it nice and airtight. It actually sounds quite good, because if I press the bottom, the flap valve works, and you can probably hear that. There's a rush of air there, so it's certainly going to do its job. So I carry on. I've got to get this next layer on now, so this top part also has its two layers, and then that would be the bellows part done. Well, I've got the bellows in the forge now, and they've seated in perfectly happily, all bolted in. I very loosely bolted this blower unit on the side as well. The spring that was here, well, it was this one actually, it was so rusty it would almost have rusted through. So I went to my local upholsterers, and a very helpful chap there. It's a lovely sort of one of his quite, in a way, old-fashioned places, although it's not. Anyway, he found me a nice spring. He said, oh yeah, I can get you one of those. So it's a spring out of a settee. It's a little bit more bounce than the old ones. The old one got so rusty. Anyway, that's for the return of the bellows, which is good. And then, just to show you with the blower unit, I mean, I'll put this bit of rag up in front. Really, look at that. Push on the pedal. So it shows that's working, and that's it. I haven't got that gas sealed yet to make it airtight, but it's certainly working well. So I think it's well on the road. I've got to now fit the pan, and well, then it's pretty well done actually. Well, I've been doing a bit of work on the forged pan, and I'm just bending up these tags at the moment. And I mean, it's been raining here for, it seems like weeks now. We've had exceptional rain. So I should be doing this outside of my anvil, but I've got a hardy stake here instead in my vise. So that's absolutely fine, and actually I can bend this steel over and then just neaten it up on the stake. One more done, and just one to go. That's those little ears bent up, so I'll now fit this into the forge itself, and I think that's going to fit quite well. So I've got my metal sides that I'll drill and get those bolted on. So that's really my next part of the process. Well, I've got the forged pan now made up. I've made good use of that scrap stainless steel, because I've just got a couple of small bits left over. So used all of it up, but I have kept to the dimensions of the original pan, so hopefully it will all be alright. Anyway, so it's all bolted together, and at the moment I've very loosely placed in the air pipe and the tuyere as well. And what I need to do next is basically make the air pipe and tuyere all airtight with the bellows. So I've got an old bit of fire repair rope here for doing the likes of oven doors. So I'm going to use some of that, and I'm going to mix it up with a bit of fire cement sort of mastic as well, which goes around chimneys. So all the good old repair stuff coming in good use here. So I'll just wrap it round, put some mastic on it, and then shove it all in, and that will hopefully make it pretty airtight for the bellows. So that's my next piece to do. Well, the forge is now complete and all finished. And it's been a good project actually. I've got the tuyere in place, all connected up, and it's working fine. It hasn't actually cost me really anything to do this, in as much as I had all the materials like the old pond liner and the stainless steel I got from the scrapyard. So it's really been quite an economical repair. But it is good to have a nice forge here running. And just a quick demo there of the bellows. It's like a fire-breathing dragon. I've got that set so it blows a fair while as it discharges. Seems quite good. So I'll put it to the test and see how it goes. I hope you've enjoyed watching this one, and thanks for watching.